Welcome, everyone, to vpod.ai. Today's host is Mike, and our expert guest is Susan. You can sponsor this podcast for just $25. Your message will be featured across major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and more. If you're interested, visit vpod.ai to get started today. So I want you to imagine driving a luxury car down the highway.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right, so the ride feels, relatively smooth, the
Yeah.
radio is playing, and you are making great time. But underneath the hood, the oil has been slowly draining for months.
Oh, that's not good.
Exactly. The engine is accumulating massive amounts of wear and tear, but because the car hasn't completely broken down on the side of the road, you just keep driving.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know what's happening.
Right. And today, we are unpacking a stealthy health paradox happening inside the human body that operates exactly like that car. We're looking at the vital role of magnesium. It is, honestly, the absolute unsung hero for healthy muscles, bones, nerves, and even maintaining your blood sugar levels.
It really is a foundational element.
But here's the wild part. Less than 2% of Americans are actually diagnosed with a deficiency in this specific mineral. And yet, up to a staggering 75% of people fail to meet their daily intake requirements.
The numbers are huge.
So our mission today is to help you figure out why you might be missing it, the very surprising physical alarms your body throws when the tank is low, and how you can actually fix it safely.
Okay, let's unpack this because, wait.
Yeah.
You were telling me 75% of us are walking around failing to hit this target, but clinical deficiency is considered quote-unquote rare in completely healthy people.
Yeah, I know it sounds contradictory.
That math just doesn't add up. How can both of those realities exist at the same time?
What's fascinating here is the massive disconnect between an optimal daily intake and a severe clinical emergency.
Okay.
The human body is just a master of survival and compensation.
Yeah.
When we say a clinical deficiency is rare, we are talking about a dangerous, immediate drop in blood levels that would literally put you in the hospital.
Right, like an acute crisis. Exactly. Your body will do whatever it takes to prevent that from happening. So if you are not eating enough of this mineral, your system doesn't just shut down, it starts pulling from internal reserves.
Wow.
Yeah, it will literally rob Peter to pay Paul, keeping your blood level stable by pulling what it needs from elsewhere in your body.
Which brings us right back to that car analogy. The check engine light is blinking furiously because you are functionally running on empty. But the car technically still drives.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
It might be sputtering, your fuel efficiency is ruined, and the engine parts are grinding, but you haven't hit a catastrophic breakdown yet.
Right, but the wear and tear is accumulating silently. And for certain individuals, that subtle wear and tear accelerates into a full breakdown much faster.
So who is most at risk here?
Well, healthy people rarely hit rock bottom because their biological compensation mechanisms work so well. But specific risk factors strip away that resilience, pushing people into dangerous territory. Age heavily impacts this, for instance.
Oh, really? Just getting older?
Yeah, as we get older, our bodies naturally become less efficient at absorbing nutrients from food, and our kidneys actually tend to excrete more of them.
So even if an older person is eating the exact same diet they did in their 20s, their body is simply keeping less of the nutrients.
Exactly.
That makes sense. But what about people who are eating plenty, regardless of age? What else drains the tank?
Underlying medical conditions act as massive drains. People with type 2 diabetes face a significantly higher risk, for example.
How does diabetes connect to this?
It's all about the kidneys. When blood sugar levels are constantly high, the kidneys go into overdrive trying to clear out that excess glucose through the urine.
Oh, I see.
And in that aggressive flushing process, the kidneys end up dragging massive amounts of magnesium right out of the body along with the sugar.
It is essentially collateral damage from the body trying to fix a completely different problem.
That's exactly what it is.
And if we look at the start of the process, like digestion, any issues there would obviously sabotage the whole system from the jump.
Oh, absolutely. Digestive disorders are a primary culprit. Take Crohn's disease, for example, which causes severe inflammation in the digestive tract.
Right.
The intestines are supposed to act like a sponge, soaking up vital minerals from your food. When that tissue is inflamed, it is essentially like wrapping that sponge in plastic.
That's a great visual. So the absorption just drops drastically.
Completely. The same mechanism applies to anyone experiencing long-term vomiting or diarrhea. You are physically losing the mineral before your intestines even have a chance to extract it.
I was looking at my notes on what we physically consume. And it's not just diseases working against us. It is the everyday things we ingest, like Medications are on this list.
Yeah, long-term use of certain medications interferes heavily with absorption and retention. Diuretics, which are prescribed to help the body get rid of excess water, force the kidneys to excrete more fluids.
And I'm guessing that takes vital minerals with it.
Yes, exactly. Reflux medicines also disrupt the balance. They change the acidic environment of the stomach, which is necessary to properly break down and absorb these nutrients.
Oh, wow. So a common antacid can cause a domino effect.
It really can. We also have to highlight alcohol dependency. Alcohol acts as a powerful diuretic and profoundly impairs the kidney's ability to hold on to this mineral, just flushing it out of the system at an alarming rate.
We really have a perfect storm here. I mean, you might be getting older, you might be dealing with a condition like diabetes or a gut issue like Crohn's, or maybe you are just taking a daily reflux pill.
Right.
All of these things are secretly poking holes in the bottom of the bucket, which means we need to talk about what happens when the bucket finally gets too low. Your body has to have some kind of early warning system before things get dangerous.
It does, but the initial physical alarms are remarkably subtle. That's the primary reason they're so frequently ignored.
Like what? What should we look out for?
The very first signs are often just a general low appetite, accompanied by mild nausea or even occasional vomiting.
Yeah, most people are going to blame that on a bad piece of fish at lunch or just feeling a little under the weather. No one is connecting a random bout of nausea to a hidden mineral imbalance.
Exactly. It is incredibly easy to brush off. But as those levels continue to drop, the alarms become much louder and far more specific.
What's the next stage?
The body moves from vague nausea to involuntary muscle twitches and painful cramps.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the biology behind why your eyelid is suddenly twitching while you are staring at your computer screen is wild.
It is pretty fascinating.
It comes down to how this deficiency entirely alters the flow of calcium in your system. I like to picture your nerve cells as a tiny, highly exclusive nightclub.
Okay, I love this analogy.
Normally, there is a very strict bouncer at the door, controlling how many people get inside. In this scenario, the bouncer disappears, and suddenly a massive crowd, which is the calcium, floods into the club all at once. The entire environment just gets completely overstimulated, chaotic, and out of control.
That is exactly what happens. The bouncer abandons the door, and the calcium rushes the floor. Scientists believe that this specific deficiency removes the regulatory barrier, causing a significantly greater flow of calcium directly into your nerve cells.
And that's what causes the twitching.
Yes. That sudden massive influx of calcium hyperstimulates the muscle nerves. They start firing erratically, sending chaotic signals to your muscles, and the physical result you experience is a muscle involuntarily twitching or locking up in a painful cramp.
So if my calf locks up in the middle of the night, or my eye won't stop twitching, my first instinct would be to just run to the pharmacy and grab a supplement to put the bouncer back at the door. Does that actually solve the problem?
Well, the solution is not always that straightforward. There is a critical nuance regarding supplementation here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. While restoring those levels may relieve muscle twitches and cramps in individuals whose symptoms are genuinely caused by a deficiency, clinical reviews shoot a different picture for specific demographics.
Like who?
Well, one major review concluded that supplements are not an effective treatment for muscle cramps in older adults.
Wait, really? Not effective at all?
According to that review, no. We need a lot more targeted studies in various groups to understand exactly how effective those pills are across the board. Furthermore, involuntary muscle twitches can stem from completely unrelated triggers.
Right, like stress, for one.
Yeah.
Or chugging 3 iced coffees before noon. I have definitely had the caffeine jitters, and that has nothing to do with calcium flooding my nerve cell.
Exactly. You have to look at the entire landscape of your health, rather than isolating a single twitch. This same principle applies heavily to the next major physical alarm bell, which is persistent fatigue and weakness.
The fatigue symptom is incredibly tricky because, everyone is tired, you work a long week, you don't sleep well, and you wake up exhausted.
Yeah.
How is anyone supposed to differentiate between standard everyday burnout and a physiological fatigue caused by a mineral drop?
It is tough. But severe, unyielding exhaustion is the true red flag. If you get a good night's sleep and still feel profoundly depleted day after day, that warrants attention.
But fatigue alone isn't enough to diagnose it.
No, fatigue alone is too vague unless it is paired with other distinct symptoms. The most critical pairing is a specific type of muscle weakness known as myasthenia.
Myasthenia, what exactly is that doing in the body?
The mechanism behind this weakness is fascinating. Scientists believe it is caused by a significant loss of potassium inside the muscle cells.
Potassium? Wait, I thought we were talking about
Well,
magnesium.
they are. That potassium loss is directly driven by the initial magnesium deficiency.
Oh, wow. The biological domino effect is staggering. The primary deficiency triggers a calcium flood in the nerves, creating the erratic twitches. And at the exact same time, it causes potassium to drain out of the muscle cells, creating a physical, heavy weakness.
It highlights how deeply interconnected these microscopic systems are. One single missing component throws the neighboring minerals entirely out of balance.
That is wild.
And that domino effect becomes incredibly dangerous when we look past the annoying symptoms and uncover the long-term invisible damage happening over years.
So what does this all mean? We transition from the visible alarms, the twitches, the muscle weakness, the nausea, to the silent structural threats.
Yeah.
I want to look at bone health first. Because if you ask anyone on the street what mineral they need for strong bones and preventing osteoporosis, 100% of people will say calcium.
Right, they absolutely will.
But magnesium is secretly pulling the strings behind the curtain.
It really is. Osteoporosis is characterized by structurally weak bones and a dramatically increased risk of fractures. People dutifully focus on calcium to build that bone density. Yet, a lack of magnesium actively lowers the blood levels of calcium in your body.
This is the part that genuinely shocked me. You could be drinking milk, eating yogurt, and doing everything right to protect your bones, but this hidden deficiency effectively sabotages your entire calcium supply. You're destroying the primary building blocks before they can even be utilized.
The structural foundation is being completely undermined. We have clear evidence from animal models, too. Dietary depletion in rat studies directly resulted in reduced bone mass.
Wow, just from changing their diet.
Yes. And while those exact controlled dietary experiments haven't been replicated the same way in humans, the observational data aligns perfectly. Human studies firmly associate poor intake of this vital mineral with lower overall bone mineral density.
You would have absolutely no idea your bone density was quietly dropping until you slip, fall, and suffer a terrible fracture.
Exactly. It is entirely silent.
And the cardiovascular system faces a very similar invisible threat, doesn't it?
It does. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the cardiovascular system relies heavily on this mineral to function properly.
How so?
Observational studies consistently link poor intake to high blood pressure, which is universally recognized as one of the most severe risk factors for developing heart disease.
The blood pressure connection makes sense, considering the tension in the body. But if the deficiency drops into severe short-term territory, the cardiovascular symptoms escalate from silent pressure to immediate, terrifying physical events. We're talking about abnormal heart rhythms, arrhythmias, and even cardiac arrest.
Yes, because the heart is a muscle.
Right. If calcium is flooding the nerve cells and causing erratic twitches in your calf, having that same hyperstimulation happen to the nerves controlling your heartbeat is incredibly dangerous.
The electrical signaling of the heart becomes erratic. Severe deficiencies destabilize the heart's rhythm, which can be fatal.
That is terrifying.
And even if an individual never experiences a sudden cardiac event, a long-term chronic deficiency slowly amplifies the risk for a massive web of chronic health problems. High blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and even debilitating migraine headaches are all tied to this ongoing depletion.
Not to mention the downstream chemical chaos we touched on earlier.
Right. The secondary deficiencies. Long-term depletion causes hypocalcemia, which is the medical term for low serum calcium. It also causes hypokalemia, or low potassium levels.
So your entire body is just out of whack.
Completely. Your metabolic health, your cardiovascular network, your skeletal structure, they are completely interdependent on this single foundational element.
Okay, we need some good news here.
Well, there is actionable positive news here. Several clinical reviews have concluded that proper supplementation may actively lower blood pressure, specifically in adults who are already diagnosed with high blood pressure.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Controlled trials provide the most robust evidence for this benefit, although researchers note that more studies are still needed to map out the exact mechanisms.
The stakes could not be higher. We are looking at erratic muscle twitches, silent drops in bone density, elevated blood pressure, and severe heart arrhythmias. It is definitely time to pivot toward solutions. We need to look at how to safely evaluate your own body and start fixing the gap.
I agree completely.
If you are listening right now and recognizing the persistent fatigue, the weird muscle cramps, or the unexplained nausea, what is the immediate next step?
The absolute first step is to consult a medical professional. Self-diagnosing based on vague symptoms is always risky.
Yeah, don't just guess.
Exactly. A doctor can accurately measure your current levels using a simple blood test or a urine test. Given the domino effect we discussed, they will likely also test to see if your calcium or potassium levels have become abnormal.
Okay, so you go to the clinic, you get the blood test, and the results show you are running low. Or perhaps you just want to proactively ensure you are not part of the 75% failing to meet the daily requirements.
Right.
The safest, most effective route is dietary modification. The numbers regarding food are incredibly encouraging.
They really are. Implementing a balanced diet rich in specific whole foods is the ultimate prevention strategy. Nuts and seeds are nutritional powerhouses for this.
Give us some examples.
Well, to give you a baseline, for every 100 grams, which is roughly 3.5 ounces, almonds, pack a massive 270 milligrams.
See, translating that into practical, everyday habits makes it seem so manageable. You don't need a kitchen scale to measure out 100 grams. Just 1 ounce of almonds, which is essentially a small handful you can eat at your desk, provide 18% of your total recommended dietary intake for the entire day.
Yes.
That is a massive return on investment for a 30-second snack.
It is an incredibly efficient way to rebuild your reserves. Pumpkin seeds are nearly identical in their density, offering 260 milligrams for every 100 grams.
So nice.
And the list of options includes foods people actually enjoy eating. Dark chocolate, peanuts, and popcorn are all excellent options.
Hearing that popcorn genuinely makes a vital health list is the best news I've heard all day.
You know, right? It is a great option. For main meals, you want to consistently incorporate leafy green vegetables, various legumes, whole grains specifically like brown rice, and regular milk and milk products.
The dietary approach is clearly the safest pathway. I mean, reaching dangerous, toxic levels of this mineral simply by eating too much brown rice and spinach is virtually impossible.
Yeah, the body naturally regulates food absorption.
But the conversation changes when we bring in manufactured supplements. Many people prefer the convenience of swallowing a pill to bridge the nutritional gap.
It does change. Clinical deficiencies are routinely treated with supplements, but they should never be taken blindly. You really must speak to a doctor or pharmacist first.
Why is that?
Because high doses in pill form frequently cause digestive distress. Diarrhea is a very common side effect, and if that occurs, your healthcare provider will need to carefully adjust the dosage.
That makes sense.
And in extreme, severe cases of deficiency, oral pills are not fast enough, and the mineral must be administered directly into the bloodstream via an IV drip in a hospital setting.
Wow. And there's a vital warning regarding over-the-counter supplements that we must cover. People casually stroll down the vitamin aisle, assume everything on the shelf is completely benign, and think that if they take too much of something, their body will just naturally flush it out.
That is a huge misconception.
That assumption is incredibly dangerous, particularly because of the additional ingredients mixed into these specific pills.
Yes, you have to read the ingredient labels meticulously. Many of these supplements are formulated with added vitamin B6.
Okay, but B6 sounds harmless enough.
It does, however. The label rarely just says vitamin B6 in plain English. You are looking for its chemical names.
But you are.
Pyridoxine hydrochloride, pyridoxal 5-phosphate, or pyridoxal 5-phosphate monohydrate.
Whoa, okay, I wouldn't even know how to begin pronouncing those if I was just scanning a bottle at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Pyridoxine hydrochloride. Pyridoxal 5-phosphate. You really have to scrutinize the microscopic fine print on the back of the bottle to know what you are actually swallowing.
Scrutinizing that fine print is critical. The danger lies in prolonged exposure to those specific chemical compounds.
What do they do?
If you are taking these compounded supplements and begin to experience symptoms of peripheral neuropathy, which presents as a distinct tingling, a burning sensation, or creeping numbness in your hands, arms, legs, or feet, you must stop taking the supplement immediately and contact a doctor.
Numbness and burning. Just from a vitamin.
Yes. While whole foods are incredibly safe, it is alarmingly possible to inflict real neurological harm by overdoing it with the wrong dietary supplements.
This raises an important question about our modern approach to nutrition. We constantly look for the quickest shortcut. We want the pill that fixes the problem in 5 seconds.
Exactly. This raises an important question about how we approach nutrition as a whole.
Because relying on whole foods, the handful of pumpkin seeds, the almonds, the dark chocolate, delivers the mineral naturally, avoiding the risk of accidentally giving yourself a severe nerve issue like neuropathy.
Whole foods provide a complex matrix of nutrients that work synergistically. The body is biologically designed to process and extract exactly what it needs from food, safely and efficiently, without the aggressive spikes caused by highly concentrated chemical pills.
Let's bring all of these complex threads together. We started by looking at a massive silent gap. Up to 75% of people are failing to hit their daily targets for a foundational mineral.
A huge gap.
We walked through the biological domino effects, how a hidden drop in reserves forces your bouncer to leave the nightclub, flooding your nerves with calcium to cause erratic twitches.
Right?
We saw how it simultaneously drains the potassium from your cells, creating heavy muscle weakness. We uncovered the invisible, terrifying threats beneath the surface, where this deficiency quietly starves your blood of calcium, threatening your bone density while simultaneously elevating your blood pressure and risking severe heart arrhythmias.
It impacts absolutely everything.
And thankfully, we learned that bridging this gap can be as simple and delicious as incorporating a handful of almonds, some pumpkin seeds, or even a bowl of popcorn into your daily routine.
The most crucial takeaway is to listen to your body's early alarm bells. If you are battling persistent, unexplainable exhaustion, suffering from erratic muscle spasms, or dealing with lingering nausea, do not ignore the check engine light.
Absolutely. Do not try to guess what is happening in the dark. It is remarkably simple to request a basic blood or urine test from your doctor to establish your baseline. Test, don't guess.
As we wrap up today's discussion, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
If a slight drop in a single, microscopic, invisible mineral has the power to alter the rhythm of your heartbeat, systematically weaken the structure of your bones, and cause the nerves in your eyelids to misfire, what other tiny, unseen imbalances in our modern daily routines are subtly steering how we feel, think, and act every single day without us even realizing it?
Wow. That is an incredibly profound and slightly terrifying thought to end on. Thank you all for joining us, and we will catch you next time.